Does the end of Oak Street make up for that other lackluster Dinosaur franchise that doesn't develop its characters, stories, or even have more than 20 minutes of dino action in a 2-hour movie? I'm just saying. New movie coming out of Warner Brothers that hit in theaters this week. Are you interested in this movie? Have you seen it already? Let me know your thoughts below in the comment section below. Also give us a like and also consider subscribing to the channel for more content. And now let's get into this review. After the mysterious cosmic event that rips Oak City from its suburbia and transports the neighborhood to some place unknown, the Platt family soon discovers that their very own survival depends on them sticking together as they navigate through an unrecognizable surroundings. The movie starring Anne Hathaway and Ewan McGregor and also stars Mazzy Stella and Kristen Caveri as the Platt family. The film is written and directed by David Robert Mitchell, who also directed the movie It Follows, which is probably one of the most underrated horror films, and produced by J.J. Abrams' Bad Robot, which is the first movie out of this disastrous multi-year contract with Warner Brothers, and with them also changing the title of the film from Flowervale Street to now the end of Oak Street. I thought they did that just because of a marketing standpoint. It just rolls better off the tongue saying the end of Oak Street rather than Flowervale Street, and I thought that was a smart move by the studio themselves actually trying to market this film. But once this movie was announced, I was really excited to see what they're going to do, especially with this cast of Anne Hathaway and also Ewan McGregor, and also when I saw the presentation at CinemaCon for the Warner Brothers presentation and a couple of trailers that they just dropped, got me really excited to see this movie because this kind of feels like it's something that we may be filling a void that we haven't gotten from those recent Jurassic World movies. And I just feel like it's basically going to be giving us what those movies are not getting us, the flaws when it comes to those Jurassic World movies, which is like, like good storytelling and also interesting characters and of course dino action. The last movie alone only gave us like 20 minutes of dino action in a 2-hour movie. Like that's just insane. And I really felt like, going in, we might be get that dinosaur movie we've all been waiting for. So after watching this movie, I have to say I enjoyed this movie. Yes, there are some flaws when it comes to this movie, but however, when it comes to the flaws, I think fans can overlook that and actually have an amazing time and enjoying this movie in a movie theater. So let's get into this review. So the highlight of this movie is the tone of the film. Like it has heart, it has a really good story, it has characters you actually care about. And this will be the last time we keep comparing Jurassic Park to this film, but it's something that we don't get in this film that we got in those previous Jurassic movies, that it focuses more on product placement and spectacle, where this film actually gives time to the characters to actually develop them. And I just like what David Robert Mitchell did in this film. I thought he did a great job when it comes to establishing the Platt family and how they do things. And he does all this stuff before the dinosaurs even get on screen, which I felt like why this movie has more heart, more character to it, because you understand these characters. You know who these characters are. You know their motives. You understand how they interact with each other. And you have this family dynamic, even with their dog. And you see this before you get into the chaos of the dinos, and that you kind of need that when it comes to these type of stories, so you have something to care for. You can root for them to survive in this survival movie, and that's what works. And spending that time makes like all the things they go through once everything's going haywire, all the dangers, all that stuff. It feels more intense, when it comes to these scenes when the dinos arrive, because we have something that we can put our teeth into and have these characters that we're really rooting for. When you have the chemistry like this between the actors and the family dynamics, it just gives the movie more emotional weight when it comes to those situations. And like I said before, that's what really works in this film. And the performances in this movie are very strong. When it starts off with the lead, Anne Hathaway, she stands out here as Denise Platt, who's a tough love mom who wants more for herself and also her family. And I just feel like what she brings a lot of personality and emotion into this role. When it comes to her chemistry with Ewan McGregor, who plays Greg, He's basically a dad who's between jobs, and he is the emotional heart of the film, of this movie. But when you get Anne Hathaway and Ewan McGregor in these scenes, you really feel the strong chemistry when it comes to it. You feel the weight of their relationship, what's going on that's good and bad with their relationship, and I feel like that's one of the best parts of the film. And Mezzi Stella and Christian Cavary also did a great job as the Platt kids, Audrey and Brian, and their performances also help sell the idea how this family really works, and like the critiques the dynamics of the family. And it's not just like characters waiting around, for the Dino action. They're basically in this film too. You feel their emotional weight. They have like smaller arcs as well, and they develop these characters to the point where you care for them. And the movie has like this Spielberg style nostalgia where it's like one of those good old films back from the 80s. And the cinematography also gives like the vibes of those great 80 movies. There's a very inspired look from the first scene in the movie. This takes you back to the 80s. And I really like that a lot when it comes to like the color grading they were using, the visual styles they were using to help create like this nostalgia atmosphere. One thing that kind of impressed me, and I wasn't really expecting to see that at all, is I haven't seen the shot in the movie in so long, is a Doppler shot. And what that really is a split shot where you got two main focus like individuals, but you got one in the forefront, one in the back front. And it's a very difficult shot to do because you're focusing on two different subjects, but one is actually like near the lens, and they use a special lens to do this. So in the shot they're like in the back, and it's very hard to do that shot and make it look good after editing. And when they did this for one scene in this movie, and it kind of illustrated what's going on, like the rareness of all this craziness that's about to ensue. I was very impressed that they put that shot, because you really don't see that anymore in today's movies. One, because cameras these days are huge, and you just really can't, do shots like that anymore. And like I said before, it's like one of the hardest shots to ever pull off. So I was really amazed to see that, and it was really cool to see it in that scene. I was like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen a shot like that in forever. That's like some of the things they were doing that would remind me of like one of those good old 80 movies. So let's be honest, you're only here watching this video only because you want to know about the dinosaur action. And this might be one of the most fun I had watching a dinosaur movie in the theaters in a long time. And it captures that feeling of like building up the suspense before you reveal the monster. And I thought I did a really good job in this film building up to those, and they keep on doing that throughout the film too, which was very highly effective. And once the dinosaurs show up, the movie basically is like chugging on Mountain Dew, and it hits gas with no brakes. But the dinosaur action is scary, is violent, is chaotic, it's full of carnage. They do not hold back in this movie. These dinosaurs go full-blown carnage sometimes in this movie, where it comes to the way they're stalking people, how they're stealth when it comes to running up on folks. It's just very good to see dinosaurs actually being, dinosaurs and acting like dinosaurs. And when it comes to even like the design of them, like they actually look like what they possibly could have looked like when they were here on Earth and alive, with the feathers and the fur and stuff like that. And I thought that was really cool that they added that element of the film and kind of distanced themselves from previous adaptations when it comes to how dinosaurs look. But when it comes to the movie and dinosaurs eating people and wrecking shop and ripping people to shreds and killing other dinosaurs, dino action is here. This is what you've been waiting for the last 10 years. You get it in this movie. And when you do that, it feels very effective when it comes to the story, the characters in the movie. So when you get those jump scares, it means something, because the buildup that you have and the creatures that you're doing in this movie, when they finally attack, it feels like a proper buildup. It's like more effective doing that way, to where if you want the audience to feel something before you do a jump scare or you reveal a monster, and if before it rip somebody apart, you do the groundwork for it. So when it does happen, it actually feels effective. You have some emotion going through it. And this movie does this over and over again. And it does a really good job doing that. And also adding with the score of Michael Giacchino, who's one of the best in the business, and how his music is blended into those scenes, even elevates those scenes up even more when it comes to the intensity and the suspense of those scenes. And it just works very effectively throughout the film. Now, all these great things that I said about the movie, there are some flaws where I can see some people complaining. There were some things I didn't like about the film, and I kind of like, wait, what were you doing? But it's not like to the point where it's going to ruin your experience. But let's get into the bad. The one thing about this movie that is a negative about this film is the lack of logic sometimes, and also some little bit of story gaps, but also some important things like the character development. Once this has been established, it kind of takes a back seat for the spectacle. And what I mean by that, the movie kind of heavily relies on nostalgia elements instead of taking its time of like piecing the mystery together properly and try to explain like how this neighborhood got picked up cosmetically to the prehistoric times. It barely touches the why or how and possibly this could happen, but it doesn't really go into it too much to where it's like still a mystery at the end of the film. And also when it comes to the characters, when they are established and you want to see some more, bonding moments with them, they kind of take that in the backseat for the spectacle. And the perfect example of that, there's a scene in this movie where you have Anne Hathaway and also Ewan McGregor, and they're talking about the marriage. And they're talking about how the marriage is not working out right now. It's a very tense conversation. And it's probably one of the best acting scenes in the movie. And they just basically put everything on the table about the marriage, about the family, the things that they want, the things that they missed out on, and all that stuff. And it's a really compelling scene. It's like a really good acting scene between these two great actors. And the movie just shies away slowly, and it goes towards the kids. And the kids are listening, and then they go on to their own adventure with what they were doing. And it takes away from that scene. It's probably one of the most powerful scenes for the movie, and it just steers away from it to basically continue the diner adventure in its viral mode when it comes to these characters rather than focusing on that scene, which I think isn't going to win any awards, but I mean, I can't tell you the last time we had something substance when it comes to a very emotional scene in a dinosaur movie. That was it. And they walked away from it. The first act of the film might be too slow for some people. And even though they lay down the groundwork for the story and give us important character development, it does take a little bit to get to the dinosaurs. And I can see some people saying like, when we're gonna get to these dinosaurs, like I came to see people get ripped up and ate. Like I didn't come to see, stories and crap like that. And I think that's because we are so programmed by the last 10 years of these Jurassic World movies where we really didn't get nothing of that at all. We're so used to them starting the movie, giving us crazy kills, and then just having jokes and product placement and all that stuff. I said I wasn't going to compare it. I'm doing it right now. But just saying that, because of that, I can see some people coming in here expecting to get dino action, scene one, don't get it. And be sitting there like, where we're going to get these dinosaurs and complain about it. I can't fault you for that because we've been programmed a certain way for 10 years and we finally got something that develops characters, a story. Let us get to the point where we have some emotional weight, emotional feelings or attachments to the characters, then introduce the dinosaurs. Also do a slow build with that, doing the reveal of them, and then finally get the dinosaur action we were looking for. I can see some people coming out and complaining about that first act, that it took too long to get to the dinosaurs. I understand, but I thought you need that in order to have the emotional weight when you have these characters going through this survival journey when it comes to trying to not get eaten up by dinosaurs. And some of the CGI is noticeable in this movie. Most of the film, the effects looks really good, and I appreciate what they did with the, using practical effects, using staging, but you can tell when they're, not somewhere on set, they're actually using green screen, or when it comes to some of the creatures and the dinosaurs, the movie doesn't look consistent throughout the whole film. But on a budget of $85 million, I think they did a pretty macro job on a budget that low, making the CGI and the creatures look the way that they did. I thought they did a good job with that. But I'd say it does look off-putting sometimes, but it doesn't take you out the movie. It is something that you just see and you just don't even think about it because you're so immersed into the film because all the craziness that's going on with these dinosaurs. You really don't care. Things look very terrifying, and I think they did a good job illustrating that. The snack worthiness of this movie, I would have to rate it. It's worth the popcorn. And overall, I enjoyed this movie. For me, this is what has been missing in these dinosaur movies. And I hope Universal takes some notes of what this movie, especially if it does really well in the box office, how important it is to have a story that you care about, develop characters where you have some emotional weight, put them in a situation where they have to survive, Also, you get some good actors that have very strong performances because they have good writing when it comes to the characters, and you just build the suspense of these monsters just trying to chase them down and eat them. And maybe they can do sequels to this film, use the same situation, the same period piece, but show like a different family and their point of view when it comes to this crazy story that goes on in this film. And maybe that could be like sequel films they can do, or maybe do something totally different but still use this world. But yeah, I highly recommend watching this at the movie theaters. Thank you for watching this video. I really appreciate you taking your time this day to watch this video, and don't forget to like this video so we get more eyes on it, and also consider subscribe to the channel for more content. I will be doing a review for the biopic for Tony later this week. Also, the Lantern TV show starts. I'll probably do some episode reviews for that one, and so probably some movie news that's going to be dropping later this week. But until next time, keep watching good or bad movies, and also some really terrible ones that might become guilty pleasures. But always keep it real, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, and goodbye.